Our first training camp fight 14 days into camp, or 14 practices into camp, and it was because Joe Burrow was hit. A breakdown of what happened with Burrow and why the Bengals offensive line was right to defend their star quarterback. That and much, much more right now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into CBT. I'm James Rapien of BengalsTalk.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, join the 57,000 plus Bengals fans that have hit that subscribe button. Check us out wherever you get your podcast. That's Apple, that's Spotify, that's Amazon, or wherever you get your audio. And if you do that, whether you subscribe or you get us wherever you get your podcast, well, you've heard from Ted Karras today. You've heard from TJ Slaton today. TJ Slaton had a really good day. The Bengals defensive front was dominant today. But the story is what happened mid-practice during 11-on-11. Shemar Stewart, the Bengals' first-round pick, was a bit off balance, beat Lucas Patrick on what appeared to be a stunt where he cuts from the outside to the inside. He might have just straight up beat him. But regardless, wins inside, is going up the middle, going at Joe, and is stumbling into and ultimately hit Joe Burrow as Joe Burrow completed a pass to Jamar Chase. I obviously followed the ball, which is something that you do. You don't think in that moment that Joe's going to get hit. Demetrius Knight, if you watch the video, Demetrius Knight kind of puts his hands on his helmet because you can't believe that he saw Joe get hit. And look, Shemar's clearly off balance. Shemar clearly, from what I see, it was completely unintentional. And yet at the same time, this led to Lucas Patrick really taking it out on Shemar Stewart, which I'm fine with. I'm totally fine with this. And it's twofold. One, and Ted Karras said it best, that all of our hopes and dreams hinge with that guy. He's the franchise. Two, I saw that way too much last year. Questionable hits, late hits, stuff that wasn't called, and I was critical of the Bengals offensive front because they need to be tougher. They need to be madder. They need to be angrier. And when they do see that on film, they got to realize, all right, we're defending our quarterback. And that was in games. I damn sure I'm not going to let a rookie, and I like Shemar, and I'm going to talk about Shemar a lot here, hit the franchise. Like sometimes you just got to say it out loud, and it's very, very simple. And so for Lucas Patrick, who had a bad day today, he got his butt kicked. I'll use Ted Karras' words for the offensive line. They got their asses kicked. And so that is something that can't happen. And if it does happen, you darn sure can't let it slide. You cannot let your quarterback get hit in practice. And not only did he get hit, but he went to the ground. And as you see it, like Shemar's off balance, but man, that doesn't feel good. Like when you see the angle of it, it's just, I followed the ball, so we don't see the exact hit. We don't see exactly what happened, but I get the reaction. I get the response. And that led to multiple practice fights. That led to a bunch of chippiness. I get it. I do. And honestly, that is exactly what should happen. It's exactly what should happen. There should always be a veteran. And Orlando probably would have been in the mix too. He did that some last year towards the end of the year when he came back from injury, defending Joe. But everyone's got to know what Joe is, what he means. And that includes Shemar Stewart. That includes this defensive front that really had itself a day, and I'm going to get to in just a second with other practice observations. But number 9, honestly, if I get too close to number 9, the offensive line should be looking at me weird. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? No. Like that's part of it. And that's it. And so I know Shemar, I talked to Caleb Noah of WCPO 9 here in town, and he said, oh, yeah, Shemar went up to Joe. They were talking at his locker. So, look, I'm not saying there's any ill intent. I'm not saying Shemar is not aware or anything like that. I think this was very unintentional. I think he lost his balance, was you could kind of tell, like, Lucas is beaten and trying to get back, trying to prevent Shemar from getting close. Like, I get it. It's completely unintentional. It also can't happen. And if it does happen, the offensive line, that is their job. So 100% on board with what happened today. And practice fights happen. Training camp fights happen. They didn't go crazy. They didn't have to call practice. They got good work in, and that work was led by this defensive front. TJ Slaton would have had a sack on Joe Burrow. He beat Lucas Patrick. really easily. I think Lucas Patrick, and that could be part of it too, is just frustration mounting because he's not practicing at that level. But Lucas talked afterwards and said, got to protect 9. And so I get that. You also got to protect him during the play. And today the offensive line, well, they lost. They were the losers of the day. Obviously, I mentioned it, no Orlando Brown Jr., so Cody Ford was at left tackle. You had Amarius Mims at right tackle, Lucas Patrick at right guard, Dylan Fairchild at left guard, Ted Karras at center. No shock there. Myles Murphy, also not at practice today. He got nicked up towards the end of yesterday's session, so maybe this is just monitoring him. We'll see, but neither of those guys were present. Jermaine Burton was on the rehab field. Cam Sample was on the rehab field. There were a lot of guys on the rehab field making their way back. So that's good to see as well, that those guys are making their way back. But, man, the defensive front, they made plays. There's no doubt about it. TJ Slaton nearly had an interception on a ball that he said he would have caught. And make sure you check out that interview if it wasn't for something he was wearing on his thumb to protect it. So there were some big plays, I would say, by this offense. On the sack for TJ Slaton, Joe Burrow found T. Higgins for a touchdown, and maybe Joe gets that off. TJ was confident that it would have been a sack, but maybe he gets that off. We'll see. But when games count, hopefully we don't see, because hopefully Joe Burrow is never under pressure, right? But that's unrealistic. A couple of things. First, the second straight day, the offense going to Noah Fant in some different ways. Chase Brown, big part of the offense. Jamar Chase had a couple nice catches. I mentioned T. Higgins' touchdown. In a lot of team drills, a lot of team periods here. Demetrius Knight had a really nice play on a screen to Chase Brown. That would have been certainly a blown-up play, huge play by number 44. Marco Wilson had a really nice rep in one-on-one coverage, knocking the ball away from Jamar Chase. So there were some nice plays by this defense, but really the story of the day is in the trenches where the Bengals, they didn't deliver. Ted Karras said it. In fact, let's roll a clip of what Ted Karras had to say and then get TJ Slaton's reaction as well.
Hell yeah. Just be smarter. Right, it's a great rush. I have to see it. I was on the other side of the line of scrimmage, but great player. But come on, man. That's all our hopes and dreams right there. And we got to be better, too. That's on us. But today the D kicked our ass, and we had to respond a little bit. And we had some fire. It was in a way that we were still executing plays, but there were some scuffles at the end.
You know, we can't talk about them like that out there. I don't know what happened. I was blind to it. Couldn't see. You know, it just, you know, teammates. That's why I say it was just a lot of love out there. It was a lot of love out there, man. You know, everybody just wanted extra hugs and stuff, you know. That's all it was. It's just football, man. That's why I say everybody, for some reason today, everybody just needed an extra hug today. So, you know, they all got up in one little huddle and we just started hugging each other.
Make sure you check out that entire interview, both of those locker room interviews, on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. That's going to do it for me. We'll have you covered. If you missed Enter the Jungle on Tuesday night, check that out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And until next time, for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Cincinnati Bengals Talk.